So today, Trump and Putin spoke on the phone for about 2.5 hours, mostly about the war in Ukraine. The biggest news from the call is that Putin agreed to stop attacking Ukraine's energy infrastructure as long as Ukraine also stopped targeting Russian oil and gas facilities. Both the US and Russia are calling this a big step towards peace, but Putin refused a broader 30-day ceasefire suggested by the US and Ukraine. That means actual ground fighting and attacks on civilian areas may continue for now. Ukraine hasn't said yet if it will agree to Putin's limited ceasefire, though. Before the call, Trump hinted that giving up some of Ukrainian territory and possibly handing Russia control of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant might come up. But neither the White House nor the Kremlin mentioned any details about territory or the plant afterwards, so it's unclear if those issues were actually discussed. Putin did repeat his demands for a lasting peace, which to him means stopping all foreign military aid and intelligence support for Ukraine. However, Ukraine has rejected this notion. Despite the talk of halting strikes on energy targets, it's unclear how they'll make sure both sides follow the agreement to the letter. The White House briefing mentioned stopping attacks on energy and infrastructure, but the Kremlin's briefing weirdly said only energy infrastructure. So there may be some kind of discrepancy in understanding there. Now, the Kremlin reported that immediately following the call, Putin ordered his troops to stop attacking Ukraine's energy sites. Putin also said a broader ceasefire would require effective control along the front lines, plus a halt to Ukraine's mobilization and rearmament, which are also terms Ukraine opposes. The White House has said technical negotiations will start in the Middle East soon, aiming at a Black Sea maritime ceasefire and a permanent peace, but they gave few details. Putin also promised to free 23 badly wounded Ukrainian soldiers as a gesture of goodwill, and both sides agreed to later prisoner exchanges in March, with 175 prisoners being released by each side. Trump and Putin also talked about improving U.S.-Russia relations and possibly working together on energy projects. On a somewhat lighter note, Putin proposed and Trump agreed to an organized hockey game between U.S. and Russian professional players, which the Kremlin seemed very excited about, but the White House actually didn't mention at all in their outbrief. Both Putin and Trump briefly touched on working together on nuclear weapons, especially since the U.S.-Russia nuclear treaty ends in 2026, but apparently no real progress was made there either. There are no specific dates mentioned for the next rounds of talks, even though they were said to take place immediately in the Middle East, but we'll have to see if Ukraine agrees to Putin's terms and if Russia actually keeps up its end of the bargain, because they haven't done so the last 24 times a ceasefire was agreed to.